well, the procrastination has come to an end. It is finally time to take care of what I have to take care of on the 540. We're going to call this Vintage Prep Part 1 because this thing has to get down to Asheville, North Carolina come end of May, and it is just not in the position to do so right now. So I've explained it 100 times. We are about to drop this trans, drop this exhaust, do a clutch, throwout bearing, pilot bearing, new exhaust, gaskets, CSB, Guibo, detents on the trans. I'll get into all that as we go on. But yeah, we finally got this thing up in the air, ready to go. I've been dreading this. I hate doing trans work without a lift. But yeah, here we are. Here's the ZF. And like I said, there was an exhaust leak. I turned the car on, ran it, and surely enough, right where I thought it was coming from, right here, you probably can't see, but this pipe is not mated properly. I don't know if it's missing the gasket or what, but you could literally see the gap at the top there. So that's where the exhaust leak, the ticky exhaust leak is coming from, as I suspected. So I gotta pull the exhaust off anyway, so when I pull it off, I'm gonna see what this all looks like, and then I'll probably end up just getting new hardware for it, new gaskets, and hopefully it eliminates that that leak, because that is driving me absolutely nuts. But aside from that, we got some trans wine we gotta figure out. We have a lot of stuff, a lot of issues this car is having, trans driveline related, a lot of clunking, a lot of you know, vibration, a lot of noise. So I got my work cut out for me, so we're gonna basically do a whole overhaul. We're gonna do a clutch, we're gonna do all that stuff. But I haven't ordered any of the parts because I kinda am gonna see what I need as I go, because since it is a B40 with a 530 trans, I don't know what is what, you know, what you need for what. Mainly the clutch system. I don't know what, I think you have to use like a ZF clutch, which would be like a E34 M3 clutch, but then you need to use like the 540 flywheel and pressure plate, or I don't know. I gotta do some research, but we're just gonna go ahead and start, get this thing out. So we're gonna pull off the exhaust first, drive shaft, all that, and yeah, let's go. First things first comes the absolute worst part of any exhaust, and that is getting the absolutely rusted to hell mounting bolts, or flange bolts out. So play a dangerous game of guess that size, which I have clearly guessed completely wrong. Alright, so we have managed to break 4 out of 4. Not bad. So now we're moving on the other side, and I'd imagine we're going to be 4 for 4 breaking these ones as well. So these aren't quite like the M50, where if you break one, you're like literally screwed. These are basically like flange to flange. So you kind of, most of these have already been messed up, but so this side has the original ones, and it's basically, you know, the stud. I'm just gonna have to hammer that out. But the other ones already have a bolt and a nut going through, and those are already seized, so I'm just gonna hammer those out and then just put in all new hardware and stuff. So shouldn't be a big deal. But yeah, otherwise it sucks because you keep getting the nut stuck in the socket. I gotta go to the vise, hammer it out, blah blah blah, and this is stuck. All these bolts are out, but it is seized on there. So I'm gonna do this side, and then I'm gonna go back, and then once the back's hanging, then I'm just gonna manhandle it, wiggle it, and that should kind of get me to where I need to be. But this is always the crappiest part of an exhaust, or the crappiest part of any job that requires dropping the exhaust. So just gotta get it over with first. All right, this side was actually 2 out of 4. 2 came out nice, 2 snapped, so better. And now as we move our way down, the 540 has exhaust mounts that bracket up to the trans. So you got one here, gonna undo those. And then the 02, BMW decided to just be absolutely the kindest. And the 02 is actually disconnect right here. So the 02 mounts here, and they both have wires that come all the way out, and they meet right here. So all I gotta do is undo it right there. I don't have to dig it all the way into the engine bay, which is the best thing ever. And then as we make our way down, I'm missing both of those back ones, and then all that's left is the muffler hook. So yeah, we're about there. We got the hard part over with. And I do have to say, on the 540, 530, it's actually not that hard to get to. They're pretty accessible, all the bolts here. So that's a huge improvement from a 525. It's really a pain on those cars. This car, I wouldn't say it's too bad at all. So we're gonna move our way down here, maybe set up a little time lapse for you guys of me dropping this big exhaust, and then get that heat shield and see how blown out the CSB is. And voila, we got the exhaust off. So I found that one of these, this one right here, is actually seized in this hole as well. So it was holding it. That was the only thing holding it up. Damage report. Guibo actually looks like damn near new. I might not even replace that. CSB on the other hand, so you can see the tear at the top. So that is blown out as I suspected. So drive shaft makes a little bit of noise. It's got a little bit of play in the U-joints there. I don't think anything crazy. So CSB will be good. Diff bushings look straight. Up next is gonna pull out this drive shaft. So CSB, Guibo, and then at the diff, because I'm doing the CSB obviously, so you gotta pull the whole thing out, which sucks. Yeah, and then we are going to start doing all the trans stuff, pull the slave out, and yeah, it's all going well. Like I suspected, that exhaust was a pain in my ass to get off, so I'm gonna go eat lunch, take a break, and then I'll come back out. Alright, so we got the CSB down and we got the Guibo undone from the trans. That was quick and easy with the impact. Now we got to get the, I think it's 6 nuts that are on the back that attach to the diff. Get those things off, and then we are going to have the drive shaft out just like that. Drive shaft is out, so you can kind of get a better look at how destroyed the CSB is. You can see the gap there, not supposed to be there. So that thing is blown out. CV on this thing, I've seen better. It's definitely pretty sloppy. It leaks a little bit of grease, but you really cannot find this drive shaft, so it's not even an option of like, oh, I'll just buy a new one. You cannot find. Off the top of my head, I want to say that this is the same drive shaft that this thing's running, which is the ZF 5-speed drive shaft for an E34. The E36 ZF drive shaft does not fit. It needs to be E34 related. So obviously the 91 and 92s came with the ZF, and this is the drive shaft you need. And then I'm guessing the 530s came with this drive shaft. I don't think it's a difference between V8 and the M50, but it could be. But either way, I know that this is just a really hard to find drive shaft, so you're gonna have to work with it. I'm gonna go ahead and replace that CSB. Guibo, I really don't think I'm gonna do. I mean, it looks brand new. There's not a crack in it. I've reused Guibos that even had a little bit of cracking. This is far better than those ever looked. So that's gonna stay, which is cool. That saves me like, I don't know, 50, 60 bucks or something, because everything else is gonna get really expensive. So now we are ready to undo all the shift linkage. Kind of a hit or a miss on these things. Sometimes the clips are really messed up and really hard to get out. Sometimes they're not so bad. So, all right, that's one. So now, if all is well, this should just pop this way. The bushing that goes inside the shifter, the whole bushing is just broken. Oh yeah, so this trans mount was actually completely blown out, so that would also explain those issues. Yeah, there's not even the nut in the, or the top stud and the nut are completely gone. So we only had one trans brace, so that's always interesting to find out. Well, the clip lived up to its name. That took me quite a while to get out. And I finally realized that there's this little tab right here that you could get a screwdriver in, and that helps big time. So don't be dumb like me and forget about that tab. But we got the arm off now. You can actually see if you look up there. I'll show you guys this better when the tran's out. Look how badly the shift shaft seal is leaking. Like, you could literally see the fluids leaking out. Like, that's a bad leak. So if it's low on trans fluid, that is definitely the culprit. But I'm gonna go ahead and get the slave out now up there. It's gonna be hard to set up the camera, so I'm not gonna set it up. And then some bell housing bolts, and then it's time to pull this bad boy down. Alright, so now comes the fun part of dropping a trans without a trans jack. I've done this a few times. I do not recommend this. This is a disclaimer right off the frickin' bat. I try to do things the right way, but this is one of those things I do not do the right way. And do not get yourself crushed under a transmission. I've done a few ZFs. I kind of have a ballpark memory of what these weigh. The only thing I'm scared of is the V8 bell housing is definitely bigger. So how much weight that adds, we'll see. I should just wait, but I really want to get this done. So I'm going to try to keep the jack under it in a right way, and then I'm going to pry it off and see what happens. I had to remove the sway bar too, if anyone was wondering. On these cars, the sway bar kind of gets in the way, which is weird. We're just going to go. Oh my god, it's coming so easy. I think we might already be off. I don't know. Alright. What's stopping us from rolling? And that is what your hands will look like after doing this. But here we are. Got this bad boy out. Big old ZF320 with the V8 bell housing on it. So ZF320, ZF320, V8 bell housing, M50 bell housing, 24 valve, or not 24 valve, inline 6 valve bell housing. So let's see what we got. Oh my goodness. This is the most sorry piece of throw-out bang I've ever seen in my life. It's literally separating. Do you see that? So it's not supposed to do that. So my guess is that that's obviously why the throw-out bang was making the clunking noise. The whine, I don't know, hard to say. Could be this, could be low trans fluid. We'll find out once I drain the trans, but this is undoubtedly not how a throw-out bang is supposed to look. So that's one thing right there. But otherwise, the pivot actually looks pretty solid. I think everything else in here might be all right. The rear main is clearly leaking. All right, I got the clutch out. So I didn't get the flywheel out because it's actually something I've never seen before. It's like a T50, and it's receded in. It's a stock dual mass, or at least a stock dual mass. I don't know if it's this car's stock dual mass, but I don't know. I've never seen it. Usually it's hex bolts that bolt the flywheel on. They're receded. I don't know if it's just because how thick it is or what. It's really wacky. So I left that on there for now because I don't have whatever torque size that is. But I got the clutch off, and I mean, to the eye, it doesn't look horrible. Pressure plate as well doesn't look horrible. But the flywheel actually has a lot of grooves in it, a lot of heat marks, and you can kind of see, probably not, but there's actually grooves on this clutch as well. So something is grooving, which means that, you know, probably not a bad idea to replace it. So I'm just gonna order a bunch of parts. I got so much to order, like the shift, like this. The bushing in here basically just died, it's gone, it came out with the arm. So that means I think I have to replace this whole thing, which I believe is like 110 bucks, which I don't want to do. So I gotta do that. I think I'm gonna do the clutch line, the slave. I don't know, it looks all original, which you hate to see it, but I don't want to put all this back together and then have issues later down the road. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and do everything while I have access to it. That's just the easiest way. So I'm gonna order a bunch of parts. I did this on purpose. Usually I would want to have all the parts there ready to go for when I start, but I knew that just the way I'm so busy with school, I want to split this into two things on purpose. I'll edit this, and if by chance it's way too short, then I'll wait, but I'm almost positive this is going to be more than enough for this video. So I'm going to cut it here. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Got a lot of stuff to order, and then I'll catch you guys in the next video when we put it all back together and we got our driving 540 again. See you guys.